Now I'm going to bring in another font, and it's a block font, and the reason I'm bringing it in is I don't want to think you're tied to a hand script. You're not. The reason I like English is it's based on an old copper plate which was then rejigged for handwriting, because originally this was just for calligraphy, but of course calligraphy was full of swirls and curlicues and flamboyant tails, and that wasn't really any good for bookkeepers, accountants, secretaries, etc. This is really English roundhand, which is the schoolboy's version of copper plate. The American version became cursive. Now, there is a slight difference between them, but it is very slight. So now I'm going to go to image, and I'm going to bring insert image in, and it's a JPG. So where have you gone? JPGs. And it's, there we go, it's the elementary block. And I'm just going to take this back one out. Now both these fonts were size 30. Actually, I think that one was 32. I can't remember now. And as you can see, there's a bit of a difference in the size. So let's just bring that down to there. And I'll blow this up. Right. Both saved at the same resolution. Place that down on the line where that is. Actually, I'll place that on the line. And then I'll just nudge this one down a touch. It's not quite on the line. There we go. Now they're both sitting on the line, and you can see the block is bigger even at a 30-point size. Had I turned that into italics when I saved it, and to turn it into italics you merely apply a slant. This is a natural italics. They would have been roughly the same height. But we're going to do made by. I'll put you back up there. I think that's about the same height. Okay. You might be tempted to use your satin outline tool. So let's look at what happens if we try that. Not pleasant, is it? So let's select it. Object details. Its width is 199, so we'll reduce that to 1.3. By the time it's stitched, that will have come down to a single millimetre or even 0.9. And standard, that's up at 105, so let's just whack that down to 99. Okay. It's still not nice. Yeah, I can go in and I can do things to it, but that's going to be far too heavy, so let's just get rid of the darn thing. I'll go with the runline tool. Now we want to do our lock stitch, our tie-on stitch, so it's one up to the top. When you've got a line that looks reasonably heavy, follow the center up to that one, to the top and down. Return back down. That's your tie stitches. Even though we've put a tie in there, do you really want to trim your thread? Because personally, I wouldn't be bothered. I would simply go straight across. And you know why? Because that sinks directly into the weave of your fabric, and it can't be seen. And then up to there, back around to here. Forget about doing the little curvy wurvy stitches. The shape is too small. We're almost on 600, not quite. Down into here, up to the top. Actually, I need it to come over a bit further than that, so I'm going to backspace that to there, up and down, and then do my return back down to the bottom. Forget about doing a trim, come straight over to there, up into that part, back around. Forget about trying to make a curve. There's no point when you're using running stitch. running stitches do not bend. Up to the top, down through those 2 nodes into the bottom, just in case you do decide you want to trim. Down again, and you see you can still do the whole letter. Oops, okay, off the straight and narrow then, which means one of those nodes isn't down where it should be. There it is. That's it, that's on the straight and narrow. Up to the end, back, up around the E shape, put my node there on the corner, and straight into this one. Now on this one I have to have a lock stitch. 1, back, stop. I go 1, up to the top, I come down to where the top of the bowl of the B would dissect the upright leg, and then just come around. Drop that bottom node onto that bottom line, and on this one I also have to do a lock stitch. Not because I'm so far away, but because that's an enormous jump over to there, and I didn't want to finish it up on the top here. And keep it all down at the bottom where it will sink into the fabric, the weave of the fabric. Right, 1, 2, because I'm coming back down there, that's fine. Right, now I would come down here, but it's perfectly okay to go up to the top first. But I'm going to put my tie stitch up there. And let's just hide the image. And there's your block, and we'll drop this to 100. This time I'm going to drop away the grid. Dreamer, there's made by. That's elementary block, and that's English SFT, and it's a script. They're both beautiful fonts. Now I took my time to find the elementary because the A is much more forgiving than the A's you find in most fonts. They've got those, most alphabets have got an A which is made like this. You have a curve, taking that curve too far, that's got to be a left node. Then you come down, then you have either a serif, okay, and when you see a lettering that is sans serif, it means no serif, or it comes down onto a straight leg, and then you get the bowl. Now, some of them dip away, not very good, and you get that effect. Some of them start a bit further down, and they swell up, and then come back to the leg. They might come straight across the bottom, they might lift slightly here. But to me, I think that one, for run line stitch, where you just have the belly and you don't have the top hook, is a lot neater for making and stitching. But it's all a matter of taste and what you're comfortable with. So I can't say to you, no, you can't use that script. It's what you want, how you want it. But please practice some of the curves, make yourself pretty patterns. Just to get your eye and hand coordination going with your mouse. Now here you go, that's your tonsils on the back of your mouse. Can't be, I haven't put the ulvar in. But just practice making shapes. Now I've got a little program that does for me the old-fashioned handwriting is. So I'm going to upload a couple. I'll make a couple and see if I can save them as JPEGs. So you can practice squared ends, you can practice the loopy loops, and anybody who doesn't think they need to practice loopy loops is loopy looped. They're not that easy to make, and if you can make nice smooth ones, they come in dead handy for when you're doing red work. They come in dead handy for when you're doing quilt block designs, or if you're doing line designs like Trevor's recent challenge, and when I do my line drawings, practice making S's. Don't just do as I've done here and go, yeah, squiffy, squiffy, squiffy. Well, we'll do a bit of an S and we'll do this. Now that's a lovely shape to make, because it's a pain in the neck. And the more pain in the neck shapes that you make, the more control you get over your mouse and laying your nodes. And once you've got that, it comes in, well, you'll find yourself using that skill when you use every single manual digitizing tool that you own. Being able to be fairly economical with nodes, knowing when to kill a curve, when to continue a curve, by using right and left nodes, is a skill you acquire, and it takes practice. So I hope these little videos now have helped you. That's the elementary, and that's English. Right, there's the elementary SF. See the nice A, I've got a really decent M, a decent E, a lot of the alphabets. M is a weak letter, V is a very weak letter. I was going to say very weak then. English 157. Not the embassy. The English has got the larger lowercase. It's more rounded and it's not such an acute angle. And then you've got hand script. Where's hand script? There we have hand script. That's another nice one. They're not suitable for using satin stitching. Not at the size you want. And they have to be a decent size to be able to use satin stitch to create them with. Computers made using fonts too easy for people. They used them without understanding how they were designed, what their measurements units were, and where they're best used. This works far better with a sharp nibbed pen, not a flat tip pen, totally different, with a widened out downstroke, which the writer creates. And because when you write by hand, you never write, if you can help it, on a piece of paper that's at right angles to you. You actually tilt your paper a bit and you write on the straight line on the paper, but the whole paper is skew-whiffed. It's at an angle on the table in front of you. Makes it easier for your arm, your wrist and your hand. I found it very strange when I first started doing the run stitch lettering in a digitizing program, because even free motion embroidery, I would have my guideline on my fabric and I would still stitch with my straight line at an angle, and it would come out perfect. It would be the right height, it would be the right spacing, because in free motion embroidery I used to be able to do calligraphic devices and flourishes. I can't do those in digitizing. I can't spin the hoop. And it really is that simple. So I hope that helps you, and practice doing it. Don't waste money on buying fonts. Every single font that there is can be manually digitized using a combination of turning angle tool, run line tool, and believe it or not, weave fill tool. Right, that's it, I'm finished. And that's the end of this little series of showing you small lettering for labels.